What if I told you that, in the 1950s, a Soviet scientist created a living, breathing two-headed dog? Vladimir Demikhov shocked the world when he surgically transplanted the head and forelimbs of a small dog onto a German shepherd named Brodiaga. Both heads could blink, drink, bark, and even swallow food, an unimaginable sight. But science pushed too far has its limits. The animal survived only 4 days. This haunting experiment remains one of history's most disturbing milestones in the pursuit of medical progress. What would you do if your boss owned 77 houses, yet you couldn't even afford the rent for one? This haunting photo from North Carolina during the Great Depression captures a woman's desperate protest against brutal working conditions and crushing inequality. While laborers endured endless shifts for meager pay, their employers amassed wealth and property. Her sign tells the story of an era where survival was a daily battle, and injustice was boldly written on the streets for the world to see. In 1968 New York, restaurants were not only competing with food, but also with spectacle. This photo shows a waitress serving as a human menu, with the day's specials written across her body. Burgers, steak, shrimp, and ribs, all literally advertised on her skin. It was a bold marketing gimmick that reflected the era's fascination with rebellion, counterculture, and provocative trends. What might seem shocking today was part of a growing movement to break norms and attract attention in the city that never sleeps. Imagine unveiling a machine so massive it promised to conquer Antarctica, only to watch it sink helplessly into the snow. In 1939, the Antarctic Snow Cruiser was introduced as the ultimate marvel of polar engineering, stretching over 55 feet with wheels taller than a man. Thousands gathered to see this futuristic beast, convinced it would revolutionize exploration. But once in the frozen South, it couldn't even grip the ice. Instead of glory, it became one of history's most infamous engineering disasters. Before he was Hollywood's most charming leading man, George Clooney was just a 7-year-old boy sitting at the family table in 1968. This rare photo captures the future superstar alongside his parents and sister long before red carpets and Oscar speeches. What makes it striking is the innocence. No hint of the fame, fortune, or humanitarian spotlight that would follow. It's a reminder that even icons of the silver screen start out as ordinary kids with simple family moments. Before she terrified audiences in Alien, Sigourney Weaver was just another face in Los Angeles, captured here in 1983 outside the iconic hot dog stand Tale of the Pup. With its whimsical hot dog-shaped design, the spot was a pop culture landmark, drawing both locals and celebrities. This candid shot of Weaver, effortlessly stylish with soda in one hand and a hot dog in the other, blends Hollywood glamour with everyday charm. It's a snapshot of a star at ease, enjoying life before sci-fi immortality. He called himself the American Führer, draping hate in the U.S. flag while standing proudly beneath the swastika. This chilling 1967 photo shows George Lincoln Rockwell, founder of the American Nazi Party, delivering his message of fear and division. But his empire of hate crumbled quickly. Later that same year, Rockwell was gunned down, not by an enemy, but by one of his own disillusioned Nazis. A brutal end for a man who thrived on violence, proving even his followers couldn't stomach his poison. Imagine seeing a ghost walk into your world. In 1930, this Highland New Guinean encountered a white man for the very first time. To him, the pale skin was not human but otherworldly, an ancestor returned from death. Australian prospectors like the Leahy brothers shattered centuries of isolation, capturing moments of raw awe and fear on film. These first contacts weren't just meetings of people, but of worlds colliding, belief systems cracking, and history forever changing in an instant. In 1969, a quiet act of defiance made history. At a time when many pools in America still excluded black citizens, Mr. Rogers calmly invited Officer Clemens to share a basin of water with him on national television. Side by side, their feet cooled in the same pool, a simple gesture that struck at the heart of segregation. It wasn't just children watching. Millions of Americans saw a gentle, radical message. Equality could be lived, not just spoken. In 1989, the world witnessed a moment of raw defiance that cut deeper than words. Twira Kayapo, an indigenous activist, pressed her machete to the face of a Brazilian official pushing for a megadam in the Amazon. Her message was unmistakable. The forest and her people were not for sale. That blade became a symbol of resistance, echoing the centuries-long struggle of indigenous communities to defend their land against exploitation and erasure. Imagine walking into your local grocery store and picking up a freshly barbecued whole chicken for just $1.39. That was reality in the 1960s, when Publix offered deals that today sound almost unbelievable. This photo captures more than just a transaction. It reflects an era when supermarkets were transforming American life, making convenience and affordability part of everyday shopping. It's a reminder of how drastically food prices, family routines, and even the meaning of value have changed over the decades. Dressed head to toe in shimmering green sequins with towering hats to match, the Pickle Sisters were a vaudeville act from the 1920s that left audiences both amused and amazed. In an era when entertainment thrived on bold costumes and eccentric performances, they stood out as pure spectacle, playful, absurd, and unforgettable. Vaudeville was about pushing boundaries of comedy, music, and theater, and acts like this captured the quirky, experimental spirit of the time, blending humor with showmanship in dazzling fashion. In 1950, the Daily Sentinel published a bold prediction. By the year 2000, women would average over 6 feet tall, towering above past generations. Illustrated with a chart showing women growing from 5 feet 2 inches in 1900 to a statuesque 6 feet 2 inches by the millennium, it reflected both the fascination with science and the tendency to exaggerate future trends. While improved nutrition and healthcare did increase average height, women never reached such Amazonian proportions, a reminder of how wild past predictions about the future could be. He was once the most feared gangster in America, yet here he stands, smiling with his family on a Miami pier. This haunting 1946 photo of Al Capone with his wife May and children was taken just weeks before his death. Behind the smile, Capone was already ravaged by untreated syphilis, his brilliant criminal mind reduced to that of a child. From ruling Chicago with blood and power to dying broken and humiliated, this image captures the tragic fall of a man who thought he was untouchable. It looks like an ordinary tool, but this bloodstained pickaxe changed history forever. In 1940, Mexican police displayed the weapon used to assassinate Leon Trotsky, the exiled Soviet revolutionary and Stalin's greatest rival. A trusted agent of Stalin's NKVD infiltrated Trotsky's circle, striking him in the skull inside his own study. Trotsky, mortally wounded, fought back before succumbing a day later. This chilling photograph doesn't just show a murder weapon. It symbolizes the brutal reach of Stalin's paranoia, silencing even his enemies in exile. A futuristic fashion statement, or a domestic oddity. In 1959, General Electric unveiled the portable hairdryer, a bizarre mix of practicality and absurdity. Strapped to the waist with a motor humming at your side, a long hose inflated the bonnet, promising salon-style drying while you multitasked in the kitchen. Ads sold it as freedom for the modern woman, but in reality, it was loud, heavy, and far from glamorous. Still, this quirky invention captures a moment when post-war innovation blurred the line between convenience and comedy. Here's a wild piece of medical history. In 1905, Young's rectal dilators were marketed as miracle cures for nearly everything, from constipation and insomnia to headaches, flatulence, and even poor skin. Sold for $2.50 a set, these hard rubber devices came in 4 sizes and were advertised as tools any intelligent person could use at home. While pitched as a breakthrough for health and vitality, they were essentially early medical quackery. Still, their bold promises highlight just how desperate and trusting patients once were. Imagine walking up to a vending machine and, instead of a soda, getting a full measure of whiskey. That was reality in mid-20th century Europe, where experimental alcohol dispensers briefly appeared. This photo captures a woman casually buying whiskey as if it were a soft drink, an idea that feels almost unthinkable today. While marketed as a convenience, these machines were controversial, raising concerns about public drunkenness and regulation. They were eventually banned, but they remain a surreal reminder of a different cultural moment. Back in 1965, imagination about the future knew no bounds, and fashion was no exception. This photo shows women modeling futuristic clothing for the year 2000 during Engineering Week. Metallic fabrics, oversized helmets, space-inspired crowns, and bold geometric accessories reflected the era's obsession with space travel and the atomic age. Designers believed humanity's leap into the cosmos would reshape even daily wear. Looking back now, the outfits feel whimsical and eccentric, but they capture the optimism and wild creativity of a generation dreaming beyond Earth.